We are back for another episode. So this will be episode 2, and it is the beginning of the Bunny Chronicles is what I've decided to call them. So this is Mrs. Rabbit. Mrs. Rabbit comes along with the Bunny Chronicles. So as I mentioned last week, where my directions go? They're there. I showed rabbits for about 20 years. So lots of stories. Some before my bestie and I became friends, and many, many after the fact. But I just thought I'd share some of those funny stories with you, with you guys. So probably the first one that always comes to mind whenever we're all sitting around and reminiscing was our very first trip, very first time going to Sandpoint, Idaho for a show. Funny thing about it was they called it the Coeur d'Alene show, but it was at Sandpoint, Idaho Fairgrounds. So it kind of became the running joke that it was, Coeur d'Alene and Sandpoint. But it happened, it was always scheduled for the first week of July, or second, I guess technically it would be the second weekend in July. And, neither Christina nor myself had ever gone. That was in the part of our bunny showing where we decided to start branching out into, going outside of our local community. Why am I having trouble figuring this one out right here? We started branching out like I said, and going outside our normal, we had our set shows that we always did. And so, it was like, hey, let's expand this. Let's go check out some other shows out of town, out of state. Well, neither one of us had ever really been to Sandpoint, Idaho. But we thought it's July, right? It's summer. So we packed our bags, and we decided that we were going to take the whole complement of bunnies, because again, we'd never been there. We didn't know what the competition was like. We didn't know what the show ring was like. We didn't know the accommodations really. So we kind of decided we were going to go with a small show string. So we didn't need to take my big old Suburban. We went up in her little bug. And what we discovered as we were packing her little bug is that we then were in a position where we had to pick and choose what supplies we were going to take with us for the camping. Yeah. Sorry, I'm flashing forward in my brain. So we get there early in the day. It's very hot outside. We get our bunnies unloaded. We get them into the showroom, and we spend some time talking with friends. We went out, we unloaded the truck, or unloaded our car, unloaded our car, and then, went back in, spent some more time jabbering with the friends, and eventually, went out, decided we're going to go get some dinner. Well, by the time we are retiring to our tent, it is like, I don't know, 11:30 at night. Well, by the time we got to the tent, it was probably about 10 o'clock. So we're laying there, and it starts getting really, really, really cold. I mean, like really cold. Now, keep in mind, we had to leave some stuff behind in order to make room in the boat, right? Well, one of the things that we chose to leave behind was the ground cover for the tent. You don't need ground cover. It's July. It's gonna be warm. It's gonna be. We don't need ground. Yeah, big, 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 big mistake. Because as hot as it was in the afternoon, it was equally as cold that night, and we were freezing. Why were we freezing? Because not only did we choose not to bring ground cover, we also chose to bring light blankets instead of our sleeping bags. Because again, it's July. It's going to be warm. Was it warm? Absolutely, it was not. Um, so we are shivering. We're freezing our booties off. We're in a tent. And somewhere around 11:30, 11:45, she's like, that's it. Let's just go to Walmart. So while most of the other campers have like bedded down for the night, we're loading up into her Beetle, which, Volkswagens, they're not quiet. We loaded up in her Beetle and we headed to the local Walmart. Okay, so then the quest was on. What are we going to buy? Because keep in mind, we're just here for the weekend. I don't want to buy a whole like $50 air mattress. I'm only here for the weekend. So I, in my brilliant wisdom, I'm going to go cheap, right? And I don't want to buy a sleeping bag. Sleeping bags are expensive. And I only need it for the weekend. So I'm just going to buy a light blanket. It was a fleece blanket, but, it wasn't like super heavy. And then I'm contemplating. I'm trying to figure out what I can use to give myself some space between me and the ground. Didn't want to buy an air mattress, like I said. Air mattresses are expensive. And, I didn't want to spend that money for a weekend. So I got to think for a second here. 1, 2, 3, right there and right there. So, being July, all the pool supplies are readily available. So I get this brilliant idea. I'm just going to go buy a little pool floaty. It'll get me off the ground, all right? It's not going to cost me a ton of money. And then hopefully with the blanket, I'll be good to go. Needless to say, Christina was only ever so slightly smarter than I was in the moment. She chose to buy a sleeping bag. But we both bought water pool floaties to sleep on. It worked. I mean, they barely had any air left in them when we woke up in the morning, but there was still some air in them, and they didn't pop. So, it was just a matter of re-airing it up the next night. Not a big deal. But my choice to get just a blanket was not a smart one. Because once again, I froze my butt off. So the next night, her and I were snuggled together under her sleeping bag with my little fleece blanket kind of tucked in too, trying to keep both of us warm. That was an interesting trip, to say the least. Like I said, it was our first experience going to that particular show, so we didn't really know what to expect. But it's like I said, it's summer. We expected it to be warm at least. I mean, it was hot when we got there, so why would we expect it to be freezing cold at night? Needless to say, we had a checklist of the must-haves for future Sandpoint, Idaho rabbit shows. Never again were we going without ground cover, and never again are we going without sleeping bags. Because burr, it was bad. I don't know how neither one of us ended up with pneumonia on that trip. But it was a really fun experience, and let me tell you, it was like the beginning of a lot of the stories that I have. Seems like every year when we went to Sandpoint, something happened. So it kind of became the running joke between me, Christina, and my daughter about going to the show and what's going to happen this time. And yes, some people could chalk that up to self-fulfilling prophecy, but it's like when you're not in control of things, is it really a self-fulfilling prophecy? Because we couldn't control the weather. Could we have controlled what we took with us? Absolutely. Could we have been smart about it and taken the bigger vehicles so that we didn't have to skimp on supplies? 100%. But if we'd have done that, we wouldn't have had the fun little memory of that whole trip. And this was one that we went on by ourselves. My daughter wasn't with us on this one. But it's like the beginning of the craziest of rabbit showing careers in Idaho. the way I don't like the way this pattern, these directions are set up, because they keep, instead of things being straight across from each other, they're like, one here and one here, but they're the same row. So I keep looking at the wrong one. That's going to take some getting used to for sure. I think we went to Sandpoint probably 5, maybe 6 years. We went for a long time. It was a good show, and it was it was what we call a quad. So there was 2 shows on Saturday, 2 shows on Sunday. Whereas other shows, it might be one, is one on one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it was a good opportunity to earn legs, like I was talking about on the last video. You could, if you have a good, stellar rabbit, you could brand it in a weekend at Sandpoint. Depending on who else is showing, how many animals are there, so on. And but you have that 5 rabbits in a class, and 5 3 breeders. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, the stories, the stories, the stories, the stories that came out of Sandpoint. Oops. Don't eat that one there. I already have it. So there's this one, and there's that one. This one. And it did seem like, everything, as long as we stayed in our own territory, we didn't seem to have those problems. I mean, obviously, like the super local ones, except for Fair, we didn't camp at, and they're, 1 day shows anyway. Like TCRA, which is coming up, or just passed, excuse me. This is airing after the 12th. Um, oh my gosh, I just realized something. I'm going to have to point something out to my bestie. It's a rabbit show that day. It's also the day of the memorial. Or celebration of life, I should say. Just shoot her a message in the morning and be like, yeah. But TCRA is a 1 day show. They have 2. They have one in October and one in March. So no need for camping or, anything like that. Now, locally, the only one that we actually camp at is our fair. One, two, one, two. There and there. Keep in mind, I am filming this ahead, so yeah. Right up here. So by the time you see this, the memorial or celebration of life will have already happened, as will the rabbit show. Oh wait, never mind. The celebration of life is April 12th. The rabbit show is March 12th. Rabbit show is this weekend, following the weekend I'm filming, which is not in April. Sorry, I'm still giggling. Flashing back to that. That was so long ago. Like 15, 16 years ago, maybe. Let's see. One, three, over two. Lost where I was. And two goes past here. I still can't believe how cold it got that night. I just like still thinking about it still just chills me to the bone. This one goes over here with this one. Then so I hope you're gonna enjoy my little story time of my telling my adventures of rabbit showmanship. And all of my crazy trips. And like I said, most of them were to Sandpoint. Oh, help if I was looking at the right one. Oops. Okay. Something's off because these. Nope. Again, looking at the wrong one. That is correct. Okay. Get these puppies glued on, and then we will be done with this video. Who's coming to the end? this one. This middle one goes on 1, 2, 3. Out there. That one right there goes on. I'm telling you, it's really messing with my brain that things are not straight across from each other. Fun. 2 little feet. Little bunny feet. So thanks for tuning in again. I appreciate my audience, my replay crew. Um, please hit the like button and do all those other YouTubey things, the subscribes, the shares, um, and hit that notification bell so that you know when my videos drop. And as always, if you know anybody that you think would like my content, you're more than welcome. Please share my channel. Talk to you later. Bye.